Inside the cold, fluorescent-lit cybercrimes division, 5 seasoned men stood tense behind a single desk, their polished shoes tapping on the tile floor in nervous rhythm. The room hummed with the low buzz of servers and the distant rumble of an approaching storm. In front of a large black keyboard sat 12-year-old Emily Reyes, the daughter of Rosa, the department's quiet, invisible cleaning lady. Tonight, all eyes were on Emily, a girl who until now had only been a ghost on the edges of their world. Detective Jonathan Hale, tall with streaks of gray at his temples, leaned closer, studying Emily's steady hands. He trusted Rosa like family, but tonight he was risking his badge on Rosa's secret, her daughter's raw genius. Hale's voice was firm but carried the weight of a desperate plea. Emily, this system has stopped every expert we have. If you can't open it, we lose everything. Are you ready? Emily's dark eyes flicked over endless strings of encrypted data. She didn't answer. Her fingers did. Behind Hale, Sergeant Morales frowned deeply, arms crossed over his chest. He'd argued against this plan all night, calling it reckless to stake a federal investigation on a child with no credentials. But watching Emily's eyes dance across the screen, some part of him wondered if maybe they were witnessing something that would be talked about for decades. Emily's mind replayed every late night she'd spent beside broken computers her mother rescued from the trash. Secrets she taught herself to find when no one was watching. The room fell so silent that even the hum of the monitors seemed louder. Emily whispered to herself, breaking the silence. They hid the back door behind dummy files. Clever, but not clever enough. Her fingers tapped rapidly, rewriting lines of code with a speed that made Morales shift uncomfortably. Hale bent closer, almost afraid to breathe too loud. Outside the window, rain lashed against the glass as if echoing the race against time inside. Minutes stretched painfully. One officer mumbled a quiet prayer. Emily's breathing quickened, but her hands never stopped. Then, as if striking a final note on a piano, she hit a single key. Instantly, green code flooded the monitor, unlocking folders that even the FBI's best minds couldn't touch. Hale's eyes widened. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Morales's mouth hung open, words failing him for once. Emily leaned back in her chair, shoulders trembling. But instead of relief, her gaze locked on a file buried deeper than the rest. A name she wasn't supposed to find. A name tied to a past her mother had hidden all her life. For a heartbeat, Emily forgot the room, the storm, the men behind her. She only knew one thing. Tonight she hadn't just broken their system. She'd cracked open her own history. The hum of the unlocked system still lingered in the air like static as Emily's eyes fixed on the name hidden deep in the decrypted files. Behind her, Detective Hale noticed her hesitation. He stepped closer, his shadow falling across her small shoulders. "Emily, what did you find?" he asked, his voice softer than before, almost protective now. Emily didn't answer right away. Her mind raced through half-formed memories. Bedtime stories her mother quickly changed, old letters she once glimpsed before Rosa burned them. Now, the pieces made an awful kind of sense. Sergeant Morales, standing stiff with crossed arms, scoffed at the silence. "What's she doing now? We need that data, Hale. Not a kid lost in her daydreams." He turned to Officer Patterson, who stood alert by the door, ready to seal the evidence chain. Patterson looked back at Emily, torn between duty and sympathy for the frightened girl holding more power than any of them tonight. Morales' voice cut through again, louder. "Reyes, snap out of it. Talk to us. What's in there?" Emily blinked, her fingers trembling above the keyboard. She forced herself to breathe. "There's more than the suspect list," she whispered. Her voice cracked just enough that Agent Collins, leaning closer, picked up the fear buried under her calm surface. His eyes narrowed as he read the lines of code Emily pointed at. Collins had spent 20 years untangling cyber webs, but the string of usernames mixed with that single real name chilled him to the bone. Agent Bennett, older and more reserved, adjusted his glasses and glanced at Hale. "John, this is bigger than a leak. Look here, financial records, offshore transfers, private logs tied to government accounts. And this name, It's connected to a case closed 12 years ago. Emily's hands fell from the keyboard into her lap. She looked impossibly small in the big black chair, dwarfed by the monitors displaying her family's secret life. She whispered, mostly to herself, "My father's not dead, is he?" The silence that followed was suffocating. Hale crouched beside her, ignoring the tension brewing behind him. He placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "Emily, listen to me, we'll figure this out. But right now I need you to stay with me. Can you find where he is?" Emily stared straight ahead, eyes glistening but refusing to break. She nodded once, slowly, and turned back to the endless maze of data. Outside, the storm intensified, rattling the window frames as if demanding entry. Inside, 6 people held their breath while a child dug deeper into a secret meant to stay buried forever. Emily's fingers hovered above the keys once more, and this time, she knew she wasn't just hacking a system. She was breaking open the lie that shaped her entire life. Emily's fingers danced over the keyboard once more, but this time every keystroke felt heavier. Behind her, the adults argued in hushed tones, but their words faded into the background. All she could hear was her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. Lines of code flickered across the monitors like waves crashing over secrets long kept. Detective Hale stood closest, eyes locked on her screen, silently urging her to push past the fear clawing at her chest. Sergeant Morales paced back and forth, boots squeaking on the polished floor. "This is reckless, John. We came here to stop a leak, not dig up family skeletons. She's just a child. Look at her." He pointed an accusing finger at Emily, whose shoulders flinched at the harsh tone. Officer Patterson moved subtly to stand between Morales and the girl, a quiet shield if the sergeant's temper snapped again. Patterson caught Emily's eye and gave her a tiny nod, as if to say, "You're safe. Keep going." Agent Collins leaned in beside Hale, squinting at the messy threads of code and old message archives Emily unearthed. "She's onto something. Look at this path, it links chat logs to offshore accounts. Whoever built this didn't hide it well enough from her." Collins had seen top-tier hackers vanish behind layers of false doors, but Emily tore through them like paper. For a moment, the entire room seemed to accept that this fragile-looking child might be the sharpest blade they had. Emily paused, her fingers hovering. In her mind, she could almost hear her mother's voice, Rosa singing softly in Spanish while scrubbing floors, always deflecting questions about Emily's father with a tired smile. "He was a good man, Mija," Rosa used to whisper. "Gone too soon." But now, with every new file, every old message, Emily knew the truth was far messier. And Rosa had tried to bury it to keep her safe. Agent Bennett, always the observer, finally spoke up from the corner. "John, if these logs are real, this man, her father, didn't just vanish. He ran. And he didn't run alone. He took classified material, names, payoffs. He's been selling secrets for years under a different identity." His voice, usually calm, now carried a tremor. Morales stopped pacing, realizing too late the weight of what Emily was uncovering. Emily inhaled sharply, pushing past the knot in her throat. Her small voice cut through the tension like a blade. "I can find him. There's one place he left open. It's like he wanted me to see it. A folder named for E." Hale's chest tightened with both dread and hope. He crouched beside her again. "Then do it, Emily. Open it. Let's finish what he started. And what he tried so hard to hide from you." Emily's finger hovered over the folder icon glowing on the oversized monitor. For E. 2 letters that made her throat tighten and her vision blur for a split second. Behind her, Detective Hale rested a reassuring hand on the back of her chair. He could feel her trembling but knew better than to stop her now. This was her moment. Painful or not, no one could take it from her again. Sergeant Morales muttered curses under his breath and stormed to the far side of the room, slamming a hand against a metal filing cabinet. "This is insane. We're letting a child dig into a traitor's last confession while we have a criminal syndicate ready to wipe our servers clean. Get your priorities straight." Hale, Officer Patterson, calm as ever, subtly adjusted his holster and stood closer to Emily, a silent reminder that he had her back no matter how loud Morales got. Agent Collins leaned closer, eyes scanning the lines of data scrolling past. He knew she'd come looking one day. Look at the encryption, old, almost lazy for a man of his skill. He wanted her to break it. He shot a glance at Bennett, who nodded slowly, piecing together what none of them had wanted to believe. This was more than blackmail or betrayal. This was a father leaving behind a roadmap for a daughter he could never return to. Emily clicked the folder. Instantly, a dozen video files and text logs bloomed across the screen. Her breath caught when she saw the first frame. A man's face, pixelated but familiar. Dark hair like hers, eyes that matched her own. In the video, he spoke softly in a room cluttered with wires and old computers, as if recording a confession to the daughter he could never hold again. Emily, if you're watching this, then you're ready to know who I really am. Hale glanced at the team. For a second, even Morales was silent, forced to witness a truth too human to ignore. Emily's lips moved silently, repeating her father's words as if memorizing them forever. The room felt too small for the storm brewing inside her chest. Rose's secrets, her father's betrayal, the guilt that he had left behind for her to find, all crashing together at once. Before anyone could speak, Emily opened another file. A map with coordinates blinking red, a location tagged with today's date and time. Agent Bennett's eyes widened. He left a drop point tonight. He's not gone. He's waiting. Emily wiped a tear with the back of her hand, resolve burning through her shock. She turned to Hale, voice steady despite the quake in her chest. Take me there. I'm the key to ending this. And he knows it. The storm outside had turned vicious, wind rattling the tall windows as Emily stood in the middle of the operations room, the glow of the decrypted map reflecting off her determined face. Detective Hale pulled on his coat, his eyes never leaving hers. Emily, you understand, if we go there, there's no turning back. This isn't just about data anymore. It's about you. It's about all of us. Emily nodded, brushing a damp strand of hair from her forehead. Her small hands clenched into fists at her sides. She had spent years tiptoeing around other people's secrets. Her mother's hushed bedtime stories. The agents whispered jokes when they thought she couldn't hear. Now the truth demanded she stand in the center of it all. He left that file for me, she said, her voice firmer than Hale expected. If I don't face him, he'll disappear again. And this time, he'll take everything. Sergeant Morales slammed a fresh magazine into his sidearm, the click echoing sharply. She's not stepping foot outside this precinct. She's a child, John. You want to risk a shootout with a ghost hacker and his buyers, with a 12-year-old in the line of fire. Morales's voice rose, but it cracked at the edges. Part anger, part fear that the kid he doubted might really be the only thread holding them together now. Agent Collins stepped between them, adjusting his tie with calm precision. We don't have a choice, Marco. If we wait, he wipes every trace and vanishes into the darknet again. We lose the syndicate, the leverage, the witness list, all of it. And he'll never trust us enough to show himself unless Emily is there. He turned to the girl and lowered his voice. You're sure, kid? Once we're moving, there's no pulling back. Emily looked at Officer Patterson, the one face in the room that didn't flinch or argue. Patterson gave her a slow, confident nod. I'll stick by you, Emily, no matter what. It was enough. She straightened her shoulders and spoke so everyone heard. He wants me to see him, and I need to know why he left us. I'm not running anymore. Outside, the thunder cracked loud enough to rattle the window frames. Hale gave one last look at his uneasy team. Morales scowling but resigned, Collins and Bennett checking gear, Patterson ready at Emily's side. He took a deep breath, heavy with a sense of betrayal and hope colliding in his chest. All right, everyone, grab your gear. We leave in 5. If he wants his daughter, he's about to see exactly who she's become. Rain pounded the windshield so hard it seemed to blur the world into streaks of gray and neon. Inside the black SUV, the hum of the engine was drowned by the quiet tension pressing down on everyone. Emily sat in the back seat between Officer Patterson and Detective Hale. Her small fingers traced the outline of her father's coordinates on a folded printout, now smudged by her damp hands. Sergeant Morales drove, jaw locked tight, eyes flicking to the rearview mirror every few seconds to check on Emily. He hated this plan, hated himself for not finding another way, but deep down he knew she was right. Next to him in the passenger seat, Agent Collins tapped furiously on a tablet, coordinating backup units that might not arrive in time. In the far back, Agent Bennett checked his weapon for the third time, every click and snap echoing like thunder inside the cramped vehicle. Emily stared out the window at the passing streetlights, her reflection a ghost staring back at her. For years she'd wondered if she'd inherited anything real from her father, more than a name whispered behind closed doors. Now, with every mile they closed toward the abandoned warehouse, she felt like she was driving straight into the answer, whether she liked it or not. Beside her, Patterson kept a steady hand on the radio, but his other hand rested protectively near her elbow, just in case. Hale leaned closer to her, voice low enough that only she could hear. "Emily, listen to me. When we get there, you stay behind me or Patterson, no matter what you see. He might be your father, but tonight he's our target too. Promise me you understand." Emily nodded, unable to speak over the stone lodged in her throat. She had cracked the system, uncovered the lies, but facing the man himself was something no computer code could prepare her for. They turned off the main road, tires splashing through puddles as Morales guided the SUV down a narrow side street lined with rusted fences and broken streetlights. Up ahead, the warehouse loomed, a dark, hulking shape, half swallowed by the storm. Collins glanced back at Emily one last time. "Showtime, kid. You ready?" Her eyes met his in the rearview, steady despite the tremor in her chest. "I'm ready." The SUV rolled to a stop, engine idling, steam rising from the hood in the cold rain. Everyone knew once they stepped out, there would be no easy way back. Hale checked his sidearm and looked at each face. Collins's focused eyes, Morales's clenched jaw, Patterson's calm shield, Bennett's quiet watchfulness. And at the center of it all, a 12-year-old girl who held the key to a ghost's final truth. Hale exhaled. "All right, team. Let's end this." The rain slapped against the metal roof of the abandoned warehouse like an urgent drumbeat as the team moved in. Emily stayed close to Patterson, her small hand gripping the back of his vest, while Hale led the line with his flashlight cutting through the darkness. The vast, empty space smelled of rust and stale air, and somewhere ahead, the truth she'd chased through screens and firewalls was waiting to breathe. Sergeant Morales swept the left flank, his flashlight flickering over broken crates and shattered windows. He muttered under his breath, half to himself and half to calm the thunder in his chest. Behind him, Agent Collins tapped at his tablet one last time, but the signal was gone. The thick walls killed any hope of backup tracking them now. Agent Bennett moved like a shadow, covering the rear, eyes darting to every sound echoing in the cavernous space. They found the first sign of life near the center. A single desk lamp glowing over a folding table, old computer parts scattered around it. Wires ran like veins across the concrete floor, feeding into a battered laptop still warm to the touch. Emily froze when she saw the chair pushed slightly back, as if someone had just stood up and slipped away moments ago. Hale's hand tightened around his gun. "Stay behind me, everyone, eyes open." Patterson felt Emily tremble at his side. He bent slightly and whispered, "Hey, breathe. He wants you scared. Don't give him that." Emily nodded, her eyes locked on the open laptop. She stepped forward despite Hale's warning, drawn by the screen still showing the same folder. For E. This time, a video feed flickered, her father's face again, but live, older now, weary but unmistakably him. The voice echoed through a small speaker, filling the empty warehouse. "Emily, I knew you'd find me. I taught you well, didn't I?" His eyes, so much like hers, searched the screen as if he could reach through it and touch her cheek. Hale moved to block her view, but Emily pushed gently past him, standing a foot from the table, rain dripping from her hair. She whispered, "Why did you leave us? Why did you make me dig through all these lies alone?" From the shadows beyond the table, A soft metallic click broke the moment. A gun being cocked. Morales swung his flashlight just in time to catch the glint of a figure stepping from behind an old pillar. It wasn't just her father waiting for her. There were two armed men, hired muscle, weapons pointed straight at the team. The warehouse, once just empty echoes, was suddenly alive with danger. And Emily realized too late that finding the truth might cost her more than secrets tonight. The moment the hired guns stepped into the light, every heartbeat in the warehouse seemed to stop. Hale instinctively pulled Emily behind him, shielding her with one arm while pointing his gun at the taller man on the left. Patterson mirrored him, blocking her other side. Morales's finger hovered over his trigger, jaw clenched so tight it hurt. Collins and Bennett flanked the edges, searching for more threats in the shadows. From the flickering screen on the table, her father's voice cut through the tension. "Put your weapons down. No one has to get hurt tonight, unless you force my hand." His tone was calm, almost gentle, but beneath it pulsed a warning that even Morales felt crawl under his skin. Emily peered around Hale's shoulder, her breath fogging in the cold air. "You lied to me. You lied to Mom. You lied to everyone," she shouted, her voice shaking but louder than the storm outside. Her father leaned forward on the screen, a ghost trapped in pixels and betrayal. "Emily, I did what I had to do to protect you. These men," he gestured to the armed guards now circling the group, "they're here to make sure you leave with me. I can't trust the system. I never could. But you're mine, and I won't let them ruin you." Patterson shot a glance at Hale, who gave a tiny nod, a silent signal that words might buy them time. Patterson spoke low, his voice steady despite the weapons trained on him. "You abandoned her. You made her clean up your mess while you hid like a coward. She deserves better than secrets and shadows." The father's eyes flickered with something close to regret, but it vanished quickly, replaced by the same cold calculation that had built his hidden empire. Emily pushed forward again, ignoring Hale's restraining arm. Her small voice broke through the standoff. "If you ever loved me, stop this. Turn yourself in. Let Mom live in peace. I don't want your secrets. I want you to stop running." Her father's lips parted, and for a heartbeat the man behind the hacker mask looked painfully human. But then the moment shattered. He sighed. "I'm sorry, Emily. It's too late for that." Suddenly, one of the armed men lunged forward, grabbing for Emily. Hale fired first, the deafening shot exploding through the warehouse. Chaos erupted in an instant. Shouts, gunfire, the clatter of metal and boots on concrete. Patterson dragged Emily behind an old shipping crate as Morales tackled one of the guards to the ground. Amid the gunfire, Emily heard her father's voice through the speaker one last time. "Run, Emily, run." Then the screen went black. Gunfire ricocheted off rusted beams as the warehouse turned into a battleground. Hale barked orders between shots, voice hoarse but steady. "Keep her down. Morales, left flank. Collins, cover fire." He fired again, sending sparks flying as a bullet grazed a metal pillar inches from the second guard's head. Emily crouched low behind a crate, heart hammering so violently it drowned out even the rain hammering the roof above. Patterson shielded her with his entire body, eyes locked on the chaos beyond the crate. "Emily, listen to me. When I say run, you run to that side door. Don't look back. Understand?" She shook her head, tears mingling with the dust and sweat on her cheeks. "No, I won't leave you. I won't run anymore." Her voice cracked, fierce but terrified. Patterson gripped her shoulders. "Hey, you're braver than all of us. You broke him once. Now survive him." Meanwhile, Morales and Collins moved like wolves circling prey. Morales tackled the second guard, fist colliding with bone and metal as they rolled across the concrete floor. Collins crouched behind a stack of boxes, sending precise shots at the first guard trying to regroup near the laptop table. Agent Bennett, ever the quiet protector, stayed near the exit, ready to pull Emily out the second the path cleared. Amid the chaos, Hale spotted the flicker of another figure near the far wall, a fleeting shadow that slipped through a side door. He knew instantly her father was escaping again. He felt rage boil up his spine. Not for himself, but for the little girl who deserved better than more lies. He yelled to Collins over the gunfire. "Hold them. I'm going after him." Without waiting for a response, Hale sprinted across the open floor, dodging splinters of concrete as bullets whizzed past. Emily twisted, trying to follow Hale with her eyes. Patterson pinned her gently but firmly to the ground. "No, Emily. Stay with me." She pounded a small fist against the concrete, grief and fury boiling together. She had spent so long wanting to meet him, to hear his voice, to understand why he vanished. Now all she wanted was for him to stop ruining everything good left in her life. Outside the warehouse, thunder rolled louder than the last echoes of gunfire inside. Morales and Collins overpowered the last armed guard, cuffing him with shaking hands. Patterson pulled Emily to her feet, his voice fierce but kind. "We're ending this tonight, Emily. No more running. Not him, not you." She wiped her tears, drew a breath that burned her lungs, and nodded. Somewhere in the storm, Hale was closing in on the ghost they all thought untouchable. Rain drenched Detective Hale's face as he burst through the side door, gun raised, breath coming in ragged gasps. Ahead of him, barely visible through sheets of water and shadows, Emily's father stumbled toward a black sedan hidden behind old shipping containers. Hale's boots splashed through puddles as he closed the distance, voice raw with years of betrayal. "Stop! It's over. Don't make me do this." The man turned, soaked, hair plastered to his forehead. In that fleeting second, Hale saw not the phantom hacker who had humiliated governments, but a father, broken, desperate, haunted by choices he could never undo. He lifted his hands halfway, a mocking half-surrender. "Jonathan, always the loyal dog. You think taking me in fixes this? I buried secrets you can't even imagine." Inside the warehouse, Emily strained against Patterson's grip. Morales, Collins, and Bennett huddled by the entrance, weapons ready but senses stretched thin. The last guard lay cuffed and groaning at their feet. Emily's eyes locked on the open door, rain blowing in sideways. She couldn't see Hale but felt every heartbeat as if she stood beside him. Patterson bent close, voice gentle. "He can't run anymore, Emily. Trust Hale. He's fighting for you." Outside, lightning illuminated the two men. Hale's hands shook around the gun. He wanted to scream at this ghost for every lie. Every night Rosa wept alone. Every time Emily asked about a father she'd never know. "She's stronger than you ever were." Hale spat, voice trembling with fury. "She doesn't need your code. She doesn't need your money. She needed you, and you ran." Emily's father laughed, but the sound cracked under the weight of his own shame. "And yet, she found me. Maybe she's the only thing I ever did right." For a heartbeat, regret flickered behind his eyes. Then he lunged, not at Hale, but toward his car, a final hopeless dash for freedom. A single shot rang out. Hale stood frozen, gun smoking, breath ragged as the man crumpled in the rain. A life of secrets finally silenced by the storm. Minutes later, Emily stepped out into the rain. Patterson's coat draped over her shoulders as she crossed the muddy lot toward Hale. She didn't look at the body. She didn't have to. She stopped beside Hale, who turned to her with eyes soft despite the grim scene behind them. Emily whispered, voice steady as the storm eased above them. "He was wrong. I'm not him. I'm me." Hale nodded, pride and sorrow wrestling in his chest. Around them, the team stood guard, weapons lowered, secrets laid bare under the cleansing rain. And for the first time, Emily felt truly free.